12 minutes left. You've done remarkable timekeeping, so I don't want to be the one that doesn't keep to time. So I'll release everyone to coffee break on time. I am presenting on behalf of UN CEFACT, which has for many decades defined international trade standards and is moving to support digital standards for traceability and transparency in international supply chains. Next slide. Click again, it's an animated slide. One more click. Yeah, so the motivation for this work is to increase trust in sustainability claims made by manufacturers and shippers of products across international supply chains to counter greenwashing. And one of the main objectives here is to lift the value of the claims by making them hard to fake. You can see there's either a race to the bottom or a race to the top here with regards to the value and trustworthiness of sustainability claims associated with products. And we aim to make those claims hard to fake through digital trust and evidence so that manufacturers compete for better and better quality claims, and consumer confidence improves, prices are increased, and there's a strong business motivation for the rich and verifiable sustainability data associated with products. Next slide. As was mentioned earlier, that a decentralized architecture to this sort of challenge is really fundamentally essential, particularly when you cross international borders and various product categories. So right at the heart of the UN protocol is a data standard, not a platform, that aims to be able to connect the dots across any number of decentralized platforms and still create an end-to-end traceability and transparency picture. The basic premise is that every actor should be able to use whatever software they like as long as it conforms to a data standard, with no need for anyone to agree on common sharing or common use of particular technologies. And that's the only way to scale across millions of value chains and billions of transactions. A simple example there of a textile supply chain, but the same pattern would apply to others. So let's move to the next slide and just have a quick overview of what's in this UN standard. The first part of it is a digital product passport. This one deliberately abstract of any particular industry sector or geographic sector, representing a common core that is extensible to meet the needs of any jurisdiction or any industry sector, whilst remaining interoperable. And that's basically the carrier of differentiated value. One of the challenges in international supply chains is access to upstream supplier information and sustainability information that can inform manufacturing decisions, supplier selections, and so on about improving sustainability of manufactured products. You can only do that when you've got sufficient information about your supply. And there's quite a heavy use of industry averages at the moment, which is a disincentive for improved sustainable behavior on the part of suppliers. So the product passport's really a carrier of differentiated value at the granularity of the shipment. So just the right data for the next stage in the supply chain at the granularity they need. So not, for example, sustainability information about an entire facility, but rather about the actual shipment a buyer receives. But that's the heart of the UNTP, but there's two more bits of data. If you click the next click, we'll see that UNTP also aims to address traceability challenge. So it's not just about the data of a particular product, but following that value chain as far back as the publisher of the data allows. And doing that in a decentralized way using traceability events. And these are based on a GS1 standard called EPCIS, but basically it's that blue thing is the mechanism to join the dots, the blue dots on the previous slide. How do you follow from, let's say, packaged meat back to the farm and the cow through traceability events is the answer. And then a third part of the protocol, if you click again, is the trust part. So this is not a regulatory passport, this is a voluntary standard. And one of the key challenges, as I mentioned in the first slide, is how do you trust these claims made by manufacturers? Well, the answer is we want to be able to allow for the inclusion of second or third party attestations about those products. And for that, we needed to develop also a digital standard for product conformity credentials. And that's been done in conjunction with various national accreditation authorities and international lab testing and so on authorities. So those three bits, packages of data together represent the ability to trace information back to source, carry sustainability data about products, and make some assessment of how much you trust it. And that trust, of course, helps to give confidence of compliance with things like due diligence regulations, because that's probably one of the emerging major concerns of businesses selling products into the European market and other markets that are increasingly imposing due diligence obligations on their upstream supply chain. So this is a way to help conform with that. And then one more click. A key part of UNTP is how do you make this data discoverable? One of the challenges we had to cope with is the ability to reuse existing industry identifiers. The further you go upstream, for example, back to cows and packaged meat, the more you encounter industry-specific identifier schemes, but also mechanisms that are a bit very targeted to that sector. For example, RFID tags in cows' ears. You obviously can't print a QR code on the side of a cow. So we needed to be able to accommodate existing industry identifier schemes and still be able to resolve information about that product, that cow or that packaged meat or whatever it is, from that natural identifier. So use a link resolution protocol based on an ISO standard, also historically from GS1. And finally, you see humans and machines in this picture. And one of the key reasons for that is that in long supply chains, if you depend on every actor in a supply chain reaching a certain level of digital maturity before you can construct an end-to-end picture, then you might be waiting a long time. And we wanted to make sure that every actor in a supply chain can comply with this standard, publish information about their products in such a way that it is always both human and machine readable, so that they don't have to do something different for different consumers. I don't have to send a PDF to one party or machine data to another. I just publish digital product passports and related data in a human renderable way. And so what that collectively allows us to do, next slide, is to basically empower each actor. You click again, I think the little animation will happen. Yeah, empower each actor in a supply chain to more or less do their own thing independently of others, publishing passports, conformity credentials, and traceability events, and allow anyone to enter that, basically that linked data graph that you can see there at any point. Given a product identifier, I should be able to find a passport about it, and then I should be able to follow links to relevant data further upstream, wherever it's hosted. So no centralized system, just a protocol. We have done a couple of pilots in this to test this protocol in both agri-food and also in critical raw materials. And you'll see in the next slide where we're at with all that. If you click one more time. Oh, sorry. Just quickly positioning the UNTP with respect to national initiatives or regional initiatives like the European Digital Product Passport, and also industry initiatives like battery passports. The intent here is not to compete, but rather to complement. It's fairly self-evidently true that almost every product that enters a market has a history, an upstream history in another market, growing food or digging stuff out of the ground. Eventually, you cross borders very often in almost any supply chain. So the positioning here is that the UNTP is a useful, if you like, upstream feedstock for things like European digital product passports, and should complement each other. Similarly, almost every value chain crosses industry boundaries, let's say from farming to fashion. And crossing that boundary can be challenging for industry actors within their industry. So what we want to try and do here is provide an interoperable common core that can be extended in a non-breaking way. And the next slide will show where we're at with the timeline of all this. We are publishing two things. One is a policy document for targeted regulators around the world, and it's called Recommendation 49, and that'll go into public review in literally in a week or two. And we're also accompanying that policy document with more detailed implementation guidance on a website that has things like schema and implementation tests and so on and so forth for actually building compliant implementations. And then testing both the policy document and the implementation guidance with a number of pilots, one already completed in red meat in Australia, attaching deforestation credentials to meet EUDR requirements. That one's done, and we're moving on to more food agriculture pilots, and also commencing some in critical raw materials. And I think there's a very interesting opportunity here, together with the CIRPASS team, to investigate the opportunity to collaborate in one or more of Carolyn's pilots to test the thesis of the previous slide that says, is there value in joining an upstream information source such as a UN cross-border international digital product passport with the market entry passport in the EU market in such a way that one complements the other. We think that's true, and it would be great to test it in the upcoming pilots. So look forward to an opportunity to do that with participants on this call. And that's it from me. I think I've hit the coffee break time. Happy to answer questions later if anyone is interested.